Nothing Like a Good Book, celebrating authors and their books one-on-one with Mark Bishop, a Mark Bishop media production.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nothing Like a Good Book. And what are we here to do? Yes, we're dedicated to authors. So we want to discover all about your book and we want to promote your book, all right? And wouldn't it be nice to sell your book? Yeah, it's a standard joke. Some people sell a lot more than others. A bit luckier, maybe. Maybe it's the book. Maybe it's, who knows what it is. Maybe it's the way it's marketed. Either way, this will help. This is only part of the whole wheel to get you out there. So Nothing Like a Good Book is dedicated to authors to help them sell their books. And it's nice to have you. And today, well, I got a big, something very, very different, a little gothic today. MV Allen is the person concerned. She's a college graduate in her mid-20s. She graduated from East Tennessee State University. And storytelling really has been a lifelong passion for her, but she never really had the drive to actually draft and create a full novel until after graduation. Maybe she had to study too much. She likes animate and video games and horror stories. So I'd like to welcome you to MV Allen, affectionately known as Mags. Hello, Mags. So, and here she is, MV Allen. Hello there, MV.
Hello. It's
How you
good to
doing?
be here.
That's good to have you. MV, what's that, motor vehicle or what?
Magnus Vaughn, but you can just call me Mags.
Mags? Okay, you got it, Mags. Nice to have you on the show. I was, in the open, I was talking about how, you've graduated from East Tennessee State Uni. Storytelling has been a lifelong passion for you, but you never really had the drive to actually draft and create a full novel. And for the sake of other writers who could be watching this now, what was it that finally got you motivated? I mentioned the fact about graduation, and I mentioned the fact that maybe because you were studying too hard, you didn't have time to do anything else. But what was the real, pusher for you that got you going?
Well, yeah, there's the fact that I was studying too hard. I was still coming up with stories during my time in college, but studying had to be a priority. It wasn't just that, though. I think it was also just, I started getting a bit depressed after my college time. I was, looking for a job. It was hard to find one, even with my degrees. And it was during that time that I started writing.
And what degrees did you get, as a matter of interest?
Well, I first graduated from community college with a associate's degree in computer programming, and then later from the university with a bachelor's degree in computer IT. Turns out there aren't that many computing jobs here in rural Tennessee.
Nothing you can work at home, long distance type thing?
Well, I eventually did find one.
I'm glad to hear that. That's good. But
in the interim, when I couldn't find a job, that's when I was writing. That's when I started getting depressed and felt the need to express myself through literature.
A good idea. Okay, see, everybody's different. It takes all sorts to be able to get going and get started. Some have had a book in, their mind for 30 years, and I'll get to it one day. I've
had several books in my mind throughout my entire life.
Well, in fact, you've had success with Rory's Island. This was your very first book, wasn't it?
Yes.
Tell us about that one.
Oh, that one's a comic book inspired by my love of anime. And specifically, a lot of anime are based on manga, which is, basically just the Japanese word for comics. But here in the West, it's known for specifically the Japanese style of comics. It's a very famous art style. And, a lot of manga get adapted into anime. And so I wanted to create something that's kind of, had that flavor for it. Well, I created the concept and the publishers handled the artwork. I said I wanted to make something that, was reminiscent of that manga/anime art style.
Right.
The book itself is about the daughter of a scientist. The daughter is named Alice Kristoff, and her father has been kidnapped by pirates in the year 2000. And she goes to the island of Akumishima along with her godfather, Dr. Warden, in order to save her father. And along the way, they meet a red oni, a monster of Japanese folklore, who is the eponymous Rory, who befriends Alice and volunteers to help her find her father.
Wow. Onis, huh? So why the Japanese theme?
Yeah, because, like I said, because I like anime and manga. It's a way of paying tribute to that.
Okay. Fair enough, too.
Yeah,
so
Akumishima is just Japanese for Devil Island. Right. So it's right there even in the name of the setting.
So in a book like that, what research would you have done?
Well, a lot of research would be into, monsters of Japanese folklore. A lot of them are known as yokai. And, there are various yokai of many kinds.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I didn't do too much research into it, though, because I decided I wanted to also work in some, generic monsters that weren't of specific folklore. But Rory's Island, only the first volume's been published. There's going to be 2 more volumes. The second volume is on the way, and we're getting close to getting it done. And there's going to be more monsters there, and we're probably going to see some more of Japanese folklore, along with just some other monsters like dinosaurs and man-eating plants.
Okay. Yeah, no, nothing too serious, just,
Nothing
This was your very first book. You sat down, you got this organized, got it going. That's absolutely fantastic. And what we're really going to be talking about today with this young lady is her big book, brand new novel.
Yes.
Just a matter of interest, before I forget, sales are doing good on Rory's Island?
Yeah, fairly well. We're still starting out rather small, but I hope this podcast will boost our reputation and give us the sales we need.
Here's the deal. Where can you buy Rory's Island? On Amazon?
Yeah, allencraft.com. You can go to allencraft.com and you can find Rory's Island there. It's also available on Amazon and on the Barnes & Noble website.
Okay. That's fantastic. Now, good luck with that, and I hope you sell a lot of those, with volumes 2 and 3 to come.
Yes.
The book we're going to talk about today, orphaned and alone 14-year-old Garth's life changes when he's adopted by the enigmatic Count Irving, only to discover his new family of vampires. Turned against his will, Garth must navigate a world of bloodlust, supernatural powers, and the eerie Half Moon Castle. God, it sounds spooky, I tell you. It's as part of the Black Hollow Company. He hunts rogue vampires alongside his eccentric siblings. But when a mysterious sire spreads vampirism across the village, Garth faces a harrowing choice: embracing his monstrous nature or fight for his fading humanity. It's a gothic tale of darkness, identity, and redemption, where every shadow hides a deadly secret. Is that about it on this book?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to show now this Black Hollow, ladies and gentlemen, Volume 1, The Plague of Shadows. How on earth did you get to write a book like this?
Yeah, it was part of my depression. I was kind of in a very dark and broody mood and kind of got myself invested in Gothic literature.
There's the front cover and the back. Gothic literature. Explain.
Well, I had read a bit of Dracula and Frankenstein. Those are both Gothic classics. And I had also read some Edgar Allan Poe later on. Black Cat, Mask of Red Death, The Raven. I'd really gotten into Gothic stuff during my brief depression after college.
And what was, if I may ask you, the depression after college, was that sort of like a downer? So much study, so much pressure, so much, God, it's all over with now. Whew. Does that cause a depression?
No, it was more so, why can't I find a job? Why can't I earn money? I did all this hard work, and yet I can't find anything. I couldn't even drive. I had spent so much time studying that I didn't even get a driver's license.
Yeah, well, you're not Robinson Crusoe when it comes to that. All that study, all those degrees, it must be very, very frustrating, I can assure you. This book, it's your big dream, isn't it? This is the big one.
Yep.
Black Hollow. Tell us a bit more about it. Share the characters if you like.
Okay.
Talk about it.
Yeah, our main character is Garth. We are introduced to him as an orphan living in 1904. It's kind of an alternate history similar to our world. I haven't decided if it actually takes place in our world or if it's just a fantasy counterpart. I left that intentionally vague in the story to figure out in subsequent volumes because this was originally going to be one book, but things just got so big, so ambitious. The characters, I felt, needed more time to have their arcs fleshed out. So this is kind of becoming a series.
Yeah, volumes in this one too, right? This is only volume 1.
Yes.
Okay, and when is it released?
Oh, volume 1 is already released. You can find it right now.
Right. This can be bought on Amazon as well, of course.
Yeah, on Amazon. Yeah.
And I think I've got them all here. Barnes & Noble, Lulu.com in the shop there, paperback. There's a lot of stuff that will go on the site, a lot of links. And Kobo.com.
Yeah.
Play.google.com. Oh, that's the
Google Books.
The Google Books thing. Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of places. All right. From a reader's point of view, what do you think that? What do you think they'll think of once they start reading about the world, the setting? We know it's 1904, but what do you think they'll take from that?
Well, like I said, it's a world very similar to our own, of course, set in the past. An interesting thing that you'll see, a common trope in vampire fiction, is the idea of taking vampires and setting them in the modern world, which is strange because what's modern is constantly changing. A century ago, in the original Dracula, Bram Stoker was doing the same thing. It's just that his modern world was Victorian England. And so it seems historical to us, but at the time, that was vampires in the modern world. That's what he was doing with Dracula. So here, taking something like this and taking it into an intentionally historical setting is actually, it may seem like it's been done before, but it hasn't.
Right. So do you think the readers will really get into the themes?
Yes. Yes, it's, very much got that dark atmosphere. We've got, spooky villages and castles.
What about, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So we got spooky villages and castles. We've got masquerade balls. Well, actually not masquerade, but, balls with, deadly secrets behind them. Mm-hmm. Conspiracies.
Yeah, the mind's going to be taken all over the place with this. What about favorite characters? What do you think the readers who do you think they'll go for the most?
I think they'll go for our two leads. There's Garth, we're introduced to him as an orphan, but he doesn't stay that way for long after he gets adopted by the counts, and meets his new family of vampires. He's quickly bitten and turned. Right. And a lot of this book is about his internal struggle of dealing with, being a newly turned vampire and all the desires to consume blood.
What about...
so I wasn't done yet. We got, actually, that's just one of our leads. That's, the other lead is Devlina. She's the other one. Garth and Devlina are right there on that cover. Garth's the boy in red and Devlina's the girl in blue.
All right.
Devlina, she's also a vampire, and she's actually the one who turned Garth. She's the one who bit him, and she's his adoptive older sister when he's taken in by the Count's family. I see. She's very mischievous. She likes to pull jokes on people and hurt them. But she also does have a caring side and, is willing to play the role of the protector when need be.
Right.
So she's a very fun character, and I had a lot of fun writing her, and I think the readers might enjoy her.
Good.
So just two really good leads here with Garth and Devlina.
Yeah, Garth and Devlina. So some of your, what do you think some of the opinions are going to be with the action scenes? I mean, it's not visual. You've written it. crossing that bridge into the imagination of a reader for the action scenes. Do you think they're going to really take off?
Yes, I do. I think that I already did a few things with some test readers online, and they really liked the action scenes. So I'm sure that if they did, that's a general audience would too. I actually studied how to do action scenes in literature, and I think the way of doing it, of making sure that the fight choreography is snappy and memorable, is a good way of going about it. And there's a lot of action to be had. So
interesting.
those who want a good thrill can definitely find it here. There's plenty of action to be had. A lot of fighting, a lot of vampire versus vampire.
Oh, God. Because they can't die. I mean, these guys fight all day and all night, right?
Well, all night. So they burn in the daylight.
That's right. Forgive me.
No, actually, that was a fairly recent convention that started with the 1922 movie Nosferatu. And all the vampire fiction before that movie, they actually could go out into the day. It just robbed them of their powers.
Yes.
And they didn't get killed by sunlight until after the Nosferatu movie, but it became such an iconic weakness that it just didn't make sense to not include it.
Makes sense. You mentioned about a course that you learned how to write in literature. Tell us a little bit about that. That's fascinating.
The action things. I didn't take a course in creative writing. That was just something that I was looking up online. I was just, looking it up on YouTube, how to write action scenes.
I get you.
And
there you go. Whatever you want's on YouTube, isn't it? It's funny about all this, vampire stuff at the moment. I just finished a part in a movie called Ascension. It's going to be released soon. It's a vampire movie. It's a short. But,
that sounds cool.
I had a part in that. And because you did a bit of acting when you were younger, didn't you?
Yeah, I did a bit of acting. Yeah.
You want to tell us about that?
Well, I did a lot of musicals. I was a teenager at the time, and I was in Seussical Jr. and in Willy Wonka Jr. I think I was one of the Wickersham brothers in Seussical Jr. There was a trio of monkeys that would mess with Horton the elephant, and also in the Willy Wonka, I was the candy delivery guy who got his own solo singing the iconic Candyman song, and was also Wonka's understudy. I actually almost got to be Wonka on stage because there was a time when the actor for Wonka had an illness, but they managed to recover just in time.
Darn.
Yeah.
Well, not meant to be. You're going to be a famous writer. Don't worry about that. So in terms of Gothic fantasy, do you feel the story, actually leans heavier on the Gothic side or more on the fantasy side?
Honestly, I'd say it leans more on the fantasy side with things like fighting and magic. I'd say it leans more on fantasy, but with a more Gothic aesthetic. But I definitely felt a really good time putting in references to Gothic literature. There are definitely some in there. So of course, a lot of them to Dracula itself, because Dracula's public domain.
Well, I tell you what, let's play this for our viewers, and let's see what they have to say. That's interesting. This time I played that, but there's no audio. Interesting. But look at the vision. And you can see the fonts there. It's a Gothic tale of darkness, betrayal, and redemption. Yeah, not bad. That's pretty good. I can't figure that out why. But anyway, this was the first rough, roughly, wasn't it? This is not the video that's going to go out. Right, so tell us about the one that is.
Okay. The video that is going to go out, our official trailer?
The official trailer, yeah.
It's still being worked on, but hopefully it'll be out soon. I don't know much more than that.
Okay. So when do you think then that volume 2 or 3, have you planned this over a year at a time or 6 months at a time?
Okay.
How does that work?
So yeah, I wrote volume 1. I started writing it like a couple of years ago. It took multiple drafts to get right, but I think I did a really good job. A lot of authors, they give up before even finishing their first draft, and that's a shame because if you continue on and you make sure to iterate on what you got, you can make something that is really good. I was surprised, but I managed to do well. And Volume 2 is being written.
Okay.
It is in the drafting phase, but Volume 1 is already out, so you can get it. I can talk more about Volume 1 if you would like.
Sure. I'm just trying to ask you from an author's perspective here for our authors that are watching. They learn from each author different things. They compare. When you sat down to do your draft, how do you do that? How do you approach that? Is that like, look, let's get this out of my head. Whatever I've got, let's just get it down on paper. And that becomes a draft.
Okay, yeah. So, interesting thing. You know how we talked about my love of anime?
Yes.
Well, I actually said a lot of anime are based on manga, and a lot of manga tend to be published in weekly or monthly magazines, and the mangaka, that's the name for manga authors, often make up the story on the spot as they're drawing the manga. And that was the thing I took when drafting Black Hollow. Each draft offered something new, and it was, often synthesized old ideas into the new as I, created each one on the fly with minimal planning. One of my influences in that is Dragon Ball mangaka Akira Toriyama. But it's not just Akira Toriyama. Other mangaka do it too, like Eiichiro Oda, who does One Piece, or Sugumi Oba, who's known for Death Note.
Okay. Oh boy. See this, folks, this font here down the bottom? This is where you can actually buy the book directly. Right? Black Hollow, with Plague of Shadows. HTTPS, allancraft.com/black-hollow.
My love of anime still translates into the gothic fantasy setting. I had said when doing the illustrations to the publishing team that I wanted to keep that manga anime style like you see on the cover there.
Mm-hmm. It's different. It's grabbing. He looks more like a vampire than she does. That's for sure at the moment.
Yeah, though they both are. Like I said, she's the one who turned him.
Oh yeah. And what, a bite on the neck does it? Not on the wrist or anything.
Well, technically the bite can be anywhere. It's just often the neck. That's just a genre convention.
Yeah.
And of course, they don't get turned right away in these stories. Vampires being a type of undead, typically that person dies after being bitten, and that's when they get turned.
Right.
Of course, the bite itself doesn't kill them. It's usually the blood loss from having their blood be sucked.
Right.
In a lot of older vampire stories, the vampire would bite them more than once, slowly draining their blood over multiple feedings.
Thirsty. Author of Black Hollow, it's Volume 1.
Yes.
Plague of Shadows. Is there anything you'd like to share in writing this book that you think could be helpful to other authors? Maybe who want to do the same genre. It can't be easy, put it that way.
Yeah. I would definitely like to see more of this genre. Gothic fantasy isn't something that you see often. I had wanted to do something in the dark fantasy genre, and, I kind of went really on ahead with the whole dark thing, turning into full-on Gothic fantasy, focus on a pair of vampire protagonists. And so I'm sure that there's a lot of fertile ground there. You can take cues from dark fantasy or just from fantasy in general. And like I said, don't be afraid to draft as you go along. Like I said, a lot of with Black Hollow is that I, took that Akira Toriyama style of manga storytelling,
right,
writing it as you go along.
Interesting. Writing as you go along. In some ways that sort of appeals to me that it might be easier to be able to write than the normal way.
Yeah, I learned quite a bit from the art of manga when it comes to storytelling.
Manga. Manga, interesting. I'll keep that in mind. Manga. Do a bit of research on it. Manga. Because today with AI and what have you coming, where do you see the future of that happening now with books, particularly with Gothic style and scaries? This would be a great thing to release in October. Not planned for that. Well, this one's already out and doing well. By the way, the sales are good. But it is the sort of book you'd you might want to consider, in October, or that hasn't come to mind?
Yeah, we do have an audiobook being worked on, and I hope that will be done by October.
Okay, good. Tell us about that. An audiobook of Black Hollow, The Plague of
Shadows. I don't know too
Shadows.
much about it yet, other than we've already booked a narrator. We're going with a female narrator, and that's all I know.
All right. Okay, interesting. Question. For a book like this, with the characters that they are, Davina seems to be a strong, powerful lead. Did that have any influence on you choosing a female voiceover versus a male?
No, I just thought that a woman's voice would be cute.
Cute?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe that was just, maybe that's the wrong word, but that's just what I want to go with. And no,
Fair enough. Hey, your book, your choice.
I
know,
think
and
that either one would still work. That if definitely
Right.
as long as we get that atmosphere done, I think that a nice lady reading it would be fun too.
be professional. It'll be good. And I'm just trying to visualize it and hear it, in a woman's voice. Very good, because unfortunately, when I played the trailer before, I lost the audio for some reason. But it's done in a male voice, the usual, promo that way. It was very good. So I just thought, yeah, allancraft.com/black-hollow. And of course, the audiobook will be available on Amazon. Where else can one get that?
Okay, yeah, I know it's going to be on Amazon. I don't know much about where the audiobook will be, but you can also just get the regular book in physical and digital forms on Amazon.
Okay.
I'll find out more about the audiobook when it's further along in production.
Well, there's lots of places, and all these links will go on, by the way, as they normally do with every author, onto markbishopmedia.com. Third tap along, Nothing Like a Good Book. You see all of the authors and all of the links, their bios and photos and so on, and all the links where you can actually go to purchase the book. What age group do you think this is perfect for?
Okay, well, I gotta say that, I definitely wanted to reach a young adult audience, though I was also told that teenagers might really like it. How one of the things test readers compared it to was Harry Potter. How that kind of was the quintessential young adult book back in the 90s. I imagine that same kind of crowd, if they liked Harry Potter, could like this. And also, I think with the whole manga art style, there's going to be a lot of illustrations too, not just the cover. And my manga-esque way of writing,
Right.
that it could possibly appeal to the anime enthusiasts out there.
Okay. So
And
there's
of
a...
course, so yeah, I'd say,
isn't it? My word. So we're talking really the youngest being what, do you think? Would get up to about, 18, 17, 18? Would really dig this, but that's too old?
I think, that would definitely be. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, I wish you all the luck in the world with it. I think it's going to be a winner, and it's already selling well, so it is a winner. And congrats to you. You're a young lady, so this means a lot to you. This book, this novel is really your big one. We touched on your earlier one, Rory's Island, but that was like learning the game a little bit.
Yeah,
And
Rory's Island was a comic. Black Hollow is a full-on novel.
yeah, full on. Now, when an author chooses a name to write a book like M.V. Allen, how did that come about, if you don't mind me asking? Did someone advise you?
Well,
Or,
I didn't want to bring this up, but I'm transgender. The M could be, my legal name, Magnus, but I'm also experimenting with other names.
Okay.
So, some more feminine-sounding names like Miva or Mava.
Okay.
And so whatever that name would be, it would start with an M. So M.V. Allen, so that no matter what my name ends up being, that title always applies to me.
That's right. And the biggest thing of all is you are you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's about. This is a terrific book. I think this is going to do wonders. Ladies and gentlemen, it can be bought at allancraft.com/backhollow. This is on YouTube. It's also on a lot of other platforms going out. And of course, for our friends that can't visualize the actual interview. The soundtrack alone is going out on many, many different platforms, on Spotify's and Apple's and, iHeartRadio and so on. So you can hear the interview. And it's also on my site, markbishopmedia.com. And soon it'll be on Nothing Like a Good Book as well, with all other authors' books and all sorts of things. So, MV, it's been an absolute pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure to meet you too. I really enjoyed this.
This is good. And all I can say is, hey, all the very best with the book. I hope you sell 1 million. Okay.
Thank you. And Volume 2 will eventually happen. There will be a series out of this.
That's good. Looking forward to Volume 2 and to Volume 3. And that's fantastic. So there we go. Well, folks, what a lovely lady. And that's our first Gothic style, scary, whoopee typed bookie. You know what I mean? Scare the pants off you. Vampires and God knows what. 2 key leads, Stelvina and Garth. Poor old Garth, mind his own business, gets bit. Next minute he's a vampire. It's dedicated to authors. This show discovering your book, promoting your book, and selling your book. That's what we want to do. And I know I keep saying it, but very soon. My friend has been ill in the hospital, so he hasn't been able to do a little bit of work on the site, but it's nearly finished. And once we release that, that's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. We'll be back with another one. If you know anybody who's an author and would like to get some promotion on their book, by all means, you can email me at mark@markbishopmedia.com, and we can go from there, okay? It would be a pleasure.
If you would like to get a copy of this good book, just go to nothinglikeagoodbook.com and use the promo code BISHOP. Nothing Like a Good Book is a Mark Bishop Media production.